Good evening, all of you, once again. From the entire Biotecnika team, I would like to welcome you all in this webinar of tips and tricks on cracking CSIR net in 135 days. Yeah, we are already having questions coming in from the attendees. Yes, Teja, we will discuss all those things slowly as we move ahead in the webinar. We'll be giving you tips and tricks about how to start the preparation, which points to emphasize, and all these things we'll be covering up. Well, Surendra will be talking on the basis of biotechnology or the life science syllabus, but definitely we will be talking more on general terms. So yes, it is going to help the mechanical students also, I guess. All right, so before I move ahead, please let me allow to introduce myself. I am Tithi Saha. I am one of the member of Biotecnika's Bangalore academic team. With me here, I have our CEO, Mr. Shekhar Suman, and we also have our academic head, Dr. Neha Suman, and we are also having Dr. Tushar. He is our member of Noida academic team here with me. Okay, Dr. Tushar. Yes, there he is. All right, so all the students, all the attendees, you can type in your questions here. We'll be going through them one by one and we'll try our best to solve all your queries. Okay, so let's start with it. Fine. So as you all know that CSIR exam, the application has already started. The forms are published, right? So you are about to apply. Many of you might have also applied, correct? So only 135 days, the projected date is 21st June 2015. So there are only 135 days left for CSIR exam. Definitely it's very less time if you see the syllabus of CSIR. The syllabus of CSIR, it comprises of 10 pages, 13 units, huge syllabus. Actually, each unit, if you see, it will comprise of standard books, right? 2-3 standard books, thick, big standard books will comprise and it will come as a part of the syllabus, right? So definitely, just by doing random questioning or random preparation without any proper planning, we are not going to get success in CSIR. If we want to have success, we definitely have to plan, focus, and then execute the plan correctly to get the success. All right? Okay. Fine. So very first thing that I would like to suggest all of you that go through the syllabus. Okay. Now, if you see that the syllabus is, as I said, it is 13 units, huge syllabus. Okay. Now, definitely covering all 13 units is not required for qualifying CSIR exam. And it is not possible also, it is not required also. If you target for all 13 units, you will end up with none. So better you choose some 9 to 10 units and be very clear concept-wise in those units so that any question comes up from those units, you are able to crack it. Soham, can you hear me? Okay, I have a question coming from Madhvan. Is it compulsory to attend all the parts? Are you talking about the sections, part A, part B, part C of CSIR syllabus? If you are talking about those parts, Madhvan, then it is not compulsory. There is no no gradation or weightage of each part. Okay, so it's not compulsory that you attend all the parts. Fine, but definitely if you want to score, you will have to attend those. At least a few questions from part A. Usually what I have seen that since biology students, they are afraid of aptitude and they are scared of the mathematics part. So they tend to skip this part A. But part A, as you know, is quite scoring also. Alright, so if you keep on, if you just do a little bit of brush up of those fundamental topics of mathematics, then you will be able to crack at least 4 or 5 questions of part A, and that will be very scoring for your score, and that will help you in qualifying CSIR. Yes, Nupur, what you are asking, I find it very difficult to solve part C on question paper of CSIR net. Can you suggest me some solutions to it? Definitely, Nupur, we'll be talking about that also in here in this seminar, where we'll be talking about analytical questions, and that is what is your part C. Part C is basically an analytical sort of questions where the hint is given in the question itself. So it's just a matter of fact of understanding the question, getting that hint, and once you grab that hint, you can definitely get the answer. It is not at all difficult. Yes, so one very fundamental question that I often encounter, and I think even Neha ma'am and Dr. Tushar will also agree that often students are going to ask, they ask that what is the syllabus tough? Is CSIR tough? Okay, so the thing is, and there's a very standard answer that I always tell the students that CS being tough and easy is a very relative topic. Okay, it's a very relative thing. If you don't know the thing, for you that will be a very tough thing. If you know the thing, then it will be easy for you. For example, let's just talk about that if you ask an illiterate person to say ABCD, he doesn't know ABCD. So for him, saying those alphabets A, B, C, D, A to Z is a very difficult work, correct? But what about you? You know ABCD, you are studying it from last 20 years or even more than that. So for you, ABCD is like nothing, right? It is the easiest thing in the world, okay? So how it has become the easiest thing? Because of your practice, because you have been practicing ABCD for last 20 to 25 years, and that's how it has become so easy for you. So definitely once you practice the pattern of questions, once you practice the questions, then definitely CSIR is going to be easy for you. Easy and tough is completely a relative term. Okay, yeah, I'm getting so many questions from the attendees. So what I'll do is I'll proceed with the webinar right now, and we'll be answering all your queries at the end. All right? Okay. So plan properly, and once you plan properly, then it is going to be quite easy. All right? So how to do the planning? Right? The very first thing will be the time management, because clock is ticking. It's 135 days only to cover that huge amount of syllabus. Okay, so I would, since we have here Dr. Neha, so I would like Dr. Neha to give some input on this topic. Ma'am, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay, fine then. See, time management, yes, it is very much important, and if you are preparing for any kind of competitive examination, this is one of the most important thing to do. And time management doesn't mean that you have to manage time, rather you have to manage time productively, right? That means you have to plan your studies in such a manner that you take small breaks in between, right? And you can You can take breaks in between, and you can take up your most interesting topic initially, so that you do not get demotivated while going through your preparation throughout this, what you say, 6 months time, right? So first of all, what you have to do, you have to initiate your interest. Now, initiating your interest, that means listening or learning those topics which interests you most, and club that with a topic which doesn't suit you or which doesn't interest you. That way you will be able to plan and manage your time properly, right? Another thing to be noted over here is that you have got 24 hours. That doesn't mean that out of 24 hours you have to spend 18 hours or 16 hours studying. No. 4 to 5 hours a day, that is more than sufficient, because our mind will be active for those many hours only, right? So you need to spend your time like that. Now, that was the subjective part of the time management. Now, coming to the crucial part of the time management is you need to divide your time focusing on the most important topics according to CSIR syllabus. So how exactly you can choose those? You just check out the question paper. Now, if you look at the question paper, I mean, I am talking about the December 2014 paper. You didn't had most of the questions from Unit 1. Rather, you had some more questions from the ecology, evolution, and then your molecular biology and some portions of your Unit 2. So everything was clubbed and interrelated, right? So you will get questions out of those particular units and topics. So just choose those topics along with the along with your interest or non-interest ones. Club them together and then start studying. Now, after studying, you need to check your preparation level. No, so for that, you need to take up your test. Now, that test has to be a kind of test which should be having questions of the topics which you are dealing with, right? So I would once again suggest you to have a very good kind of question bank, or maybe online, offline, whatever mode you want to choose or wish to choose. So that way it will be a kind of a strategic planning and a strategic time management. I hope my points are clear to everybody. And if there is any kind of doubt or question, you are certainly welcome. And at the end of the session, we'll be having question hour. So you can certainly get back to me and ask.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think definitely it is going to help all the students who are preparing for this CSIR. Definitely time management is a crucial issue that always comes up. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay. So moving on to our very third topic, that is emphasizing on your strong points. Okay. So as ma'am also had told you that when you are checking out the syllabus, from there you can choose those portions which are strong, okay, which you are strong in, okay, all right. That basically means first prepare those topics where you at least have some 50 to 60% idea of the topic, rather than starting with something that is completely new, okay. Now, in case of biology, what happens here, that there are different branches of biology. The branches of biology are so vast that there is pure science, there is this applied science, okay. And if you see the CSIR syllabus, it gives actually equal weightage to pure as well as applied science, okay. There is no bias on this basis in CSIR syllabus. So often students, they come to us and they say that, okay ma'am, I'm from pure science background, so I do not know anything of the applied biology. Similarly, many students, and that is the more of a trend nowadays, to go for applied sciences. So many students, they say that we are from biotechnology, we are from genetics, we are from molecular biology background, we do not know anything about animal physiology, we do not know anything about plant physiology, okay. So better than start, definitely in the syllabus you will be getting some units where you don't have any idea, but along with that you will also be getting those units where you have all the idea, you have studied in your graduation, you have studied in your post graduation, okay. So the first thing to do is choose those topics from the syllabus and start with them, okay. So focus on those topics and those will be your strengths. Alright. So once you have done complete 100%, because 60% you are already knowing. So you definitely need to put a little bit, little less focus on them, and it will be 100% for you. Okay. So during the start, definitely it is going to boost you up when you see the syllabus. And one more thing, as you keep on completing the topics, tick them in the syllabus. That will give you your moral strength. That will help you that, okay, I have finished this much portion from the syllabus, and definitely that works. Okay, that will give that positive thought in your mind. Okay, so chalk out scheme to make the most of the strengths and diminish the weaknesses. Okay, so check the syllabus and check the question paper pattern. Pick out those areas which are considered as the question hotspots. That means from there questions are asked most of the time. Every session, there are definitely those areas from where every year, every session questions are asked. Alright, so pick those areas, emphasize more on these points, and then you will be good to go. Okay, so that will solve both the things. It will make you more useful. I mean, you can use more of your time in strengthening your strengths, okay, the topics which you are good in, and will also help you in overcoming those weak areas where you do not know much of the topic. Okay. Yes, Natarajan. Okay, very good. Right. So moving on to the next thing. The next tip that I would like to share with you is develop an attitude to carve for more. Okay, don't be satisfied with what just you have. Have that craving to acquire more and more knowledge. Okay, since I have got our CEO, Mr. Shekhar Suman, with us, so I would definitely like Sir to put some input on this. Sir, please.
What we are talking about here is really great. I really appreciate Team Biotechnica, and thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. Developing an attitude to carve for more. Now, this is totally a multi-directional approach. Now, you look at it, today's era, every 24 hours, there's so much of information generated on the internet, which is equal to 10 of the United States libraries put together. Right? So, what we're talking here is there's a lot of knowledge which is being generated. And biotechnology, or for that matter, life sciences, is a growing field. On a daily basis, there are different things happening, and of course, those are a part of your curriculum. You need to stay up to date, and you need to have a hunger for more knowledge. Don't just sit with, okay, I have got this particular book, so I have got this 10 angels. I'm going to limit myself to this. I'm going to focus only on what is given. You need to have more and more of additional knowledge which goes in, and more. Apart from that, you need to go to internet, you need to go and search for latest information which is coming up. And also, there are two things which you need to keep in mind. Be in touch with those students or colleagues or friends who are already updated, or be in touch with your mentors or teachers, the right kind of mentors or teachers who keep themselves up to date with the knowledge. Okay, and you need to perceive knowledge, assimilate it, and retain it. These are the 3 points which I want to make it here. Whether it is the bookish knowledge, whether it is common sense, or for that matter, if you take general aptitude, which is the part A section, or for part C section, whatever may be, if you are able to assimilate it, you're able to process that information, and you're able to retain it so that you can reply or mark the right kind of answers during those 3 hours of the exam, that is going to happen. Not that you attend the best of the books and best of the coaching or best of the whatever. okay, or maximum number of hours you spend. That's not going to help you. What is going to help you here is to retain it, and you need to have a hunger for attaining more and more of knowledge and retaining it and going to the exam and giving the right kind of output. So as it has been put on the slide right now, smart minds can think differently and be unique, and that is what is the point which I would like to emphasize. Now, if you are smart, you will be able to interpret it in a different way, and you will be able to retain and assimilate it in a different manner. Okay, so start thinking in a different manner. It's not just about books and bookish knowledge. Start solving more of aptitude and such questions also, which is going to help you, because it's not just okay, I have this book, okay, I've limited myself, this is where I'm going to stand. Okay, if you go and do that in the exam, you're going to certainly line into a disaster. So on one hand, when you are solving the questions, you need to be very much specific. Why this? Why not this? Suppose there are 4 options given. What if these options were not there? Can I solve this question still? So these are the things you need to have an attitude to carve on and crave for more, for that matter. So that's where I will try to summarize everything. You need to have a right kind of interpretation and assimilate it and give a right kind of output during the exam. Thanks a lot, Priti. I think you can take back the controls. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Yes, sir, what you said is correct. Definitely very true, because if you, I think all the attendees will also agree with us here that if you see the CSIR syllabus, there's nothing called as out of syllabus. Okay, so if you still are stuck in that thing of out of syllabus, then definitely CSIR is not for you, because for CSIR everything is in syllabus. So when you are solving a question, it is not only important that you know what is the correct answer, but you should also know why the other options are not correct. Okay, so that is one thing which can be done only by craving for more and thinking about the thing in all the directions. Okay, now moving on, the next thing that we think should come is fragmentize the topics on priority. That is fragmentizing the syllabus on the basis of priority. Okay, so I have my esteemed colleague Dr. Tushar with me here. So I would like Dr. Tushar to give some light on this topic. Dr. Tushar, please.
Am I audible? Okay. So thank you, Diti, for giving me this opportunity to have a say on this topic from my side. So as people who are attending this seminar, they would have got some idea about how to plan their studies, how to have a good attitude, and what should be their mode of plan for preparing for CSIR. Now, since you have all these things sorted out, the next thing comes up is how you are going to take up a unit. So the first thing is that you should always split your units into several subunits. You can divide your unit into several ways. One way could be you can split a unit into topics which are very basic, which require very basic information, very basic knowledge, and very basic concepts. Once you have those concepts ready and you have a full understanding of those topics, you can move on to learn intermediate topics, intermediate concepts. The concepts which relies on basic concepts and are a little more difficult, or rather not difficult, but they have little more depth in them. Then again, based on these intermediate concepts, you can, since you have mastered the basic concepts, you have your intermediate concepts. Based on this, you would realize that you have gained a very deep insight into the subject, and then you can move on to solving advanced kind of concepts, learning advanced types of concepts, or solving advanced types of questions. Now, this is one way to divide your unit. This is one way to fragmentize a topic. The other way could be you can fragmentize a topic based on your interest. All of us, whoever is a learner, does have a specific affinity for certain subtopics as compared to others. So you can even fragmentize the topic based on that. But you have to keep this in mind, as was pointed out by Dr. Neha before, that you should always take up a boring topic and you should take an interesting topic along with it. So that when you are not feeling like to study, you can take up the interesting topic, otherwise you can take up the boring topic. Now, further, when you have mastered all these steps, you should start focusing more on practicing questions, because that is where you start applying the things that you have learned. Then you should invest more and more time in solving your Part C questions. Now, Part C questions for solving Part C question, you can again use the same strategy that we have as point 5. That is, fragmentize your question. Fragmentize your question into several parts, and then it would be very easy for you to solve those questions. So I believe with these advice, you would be able to do better in your examination, and I would like Priti to take over the control.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tushar. I think the students, the attendees, you all have got the idea about how to fragmentize the syllabus. Okay, good. So I hope that all of you are going to implement it right away. Fine. The next thing that I would like to suggest you is design your study style. Okay. Now, definitely everybody's study style is differs, right? Nobody has got the same way of studying. Some people try to, they can sit quiet and they just read and that gets into their brain. For some people, as I have got a question from Samreen, that I tend to forget the things. How do I remember? Okay, so for that, the best thing will be writing it down. Definitely. Write it down and also keep on practicing the things. Once you keep on practicing the things, then it will get the idea embed in your brain. Okay, if you just read it once, and if you leave the topic for 2 months and you just at the time of CSIR you are brushing it up, definitely you will forget some key points in that. So the trick is to practice that thing continuously. Now, how to practice it? Definitely by taking up more and more questions. Alright. So design your own study material. Because I know all of you might have seen the standard books, right? Those standard books, they are thick, there are lots of information there. But do you need all those information with respect to CSIR point of view? No. We need some selective information, right? Getting more is definitely good, but since in this CSIR pattern, we cannot afford to waste our time, right? So we have to use our time very judiciously. So make your own notes, read it, choose out the points from where questions are often asked from the CSIR in the CSIR paper, and make notes of yourself, so that at the time of your revising, those notes will definitely help you a lot. In fact, in Biotecnika also we provide the study material, and those study materials are nothing but the topics of entire 13 unit plus part A comprised in notes form. So they will be very, very helpful to you when you are at the end, at the verge of revising the things and just ready to go for the exam. Okay, in your 11th hour, those study materials, those notes that you will be preparing will be helping you a lot. Okay, now in there, what type of note or in which topics you should focus? You should definitely focus on those topics which are the question hotspots, right? So just by seeing, for this you don't have to do a lot of analysis. Just take 5 years back papers, okay, last 5 years papers of CSIR, and just by seeing the question only you will get the idea that every time, okay, from this topic every time questions are asked. For example, I will give you, in case of unit 11 in evolution, every year question is asked from Hardy-Weinberg law. So definitely you are sure that Hardy-Weinberg law is going to come. Okay, so in that way you can emphasize, and in that way you can make your notes and revise those notes in your 11th hour. So raise points and chalk out study style to make you cover maximum topic in limited time. Okay, and in that way if you are doing, then it is going to, definitely you are going to achieve more. Tejasvi, yeah, I have got a question from Tejasvi that can one apply for SRF along with lecturership? Well, Tejasvi, in case of CSIR, you cannot apply for SRF. It is for JRF, Junior Research Fellow. SRF will be given only when you have the experience of working as a JRF. Directly, you cannot apply for SRF. The next thing is to stay updated. Alright. So the same thing, because as we know that ultimately why we are giving this exam, some of you for lecturership and some of you for the JRF, right? So JRF is nothing but you are proceeding in the research direction. So definitely you should be very updated about what all researches are going in our field. Okay. Now I think all of you have seen that advertisement of IIN, correct? Idea Internet Network. So it's not only Idea, I think all of you nowadays have the smartphones which has internet, and it's really nowadays the world is in our fingertips. So you can, there is no limitation of knowledge nowadays. Nowadays if somebody says that I don't know this, this is really a pity to do, okay, because everything is available on internet. You just search it, you should have that knack of searching the thing to craving for more knowledge, to stay updated. If you have that thing, definitely you are going to get every information that is available. Okay, internet is a vast amount, is carrying a lot of information. Okay, so stay updated, stay focused, stay updated with the researches, the new findings that are going on. Definitely they are going to help you when you go for your research. Once you clear CSIR, JRF, definitely you will be asked for Viva, right? They are not going to give you JRF just like that. You have to go apply to the institutes of CSIR, and there you have to apply for, go through the Viva. Okay, more esteem the institute, definitely the more competition you will be facing in Viva. So in that case, this habit of yours to stay updated with the research is going to help you. Okay, see, I have got a question from Dheeraj. How can we manage our time with doing dissertation project? See, Dheeraj, dissertation is something that, you don't have anything to do after you come from the lab, correct? Everything, yeah, definitely in the time when you are submitting your synopsis for the dissertation, or when you are writing down your project thesis, then you need the time. Okay, other than that, when actually you are carrying out your research or doing your dissertation project, at that time you don't have to do much work outside the lab. So outside the lab, devote all your time to CSIR preparation. And also when in the lab, also when you are setting up some experiment, right? This is biology, so you have to set up experiments. There will be time given for those experiments. You cannot rush them out. If there is some incubation time, you have to provide it with those incubation time. So what you will be doing in between that? So while your experiment is on incubation, devote your time to study. If you want, you will find time. That's the thing. Okay, so moving on next. develop an analytical approach. Okay, so as I was saying you in the beginning also, this analytical approach is going to help you while solving the CSIR questions in the part C. Okay, because in part C, all the questions are analytical based. And as I said to you that even students, often we get the query, and somebody previously also wrote that part C questions are very tough. Well, they are not at all. If you see, you know, this part C questions are easier than part B, because in part B, they are direct fact-based question. You know the thing, you can answer. You don't know the thing, you cannot answer. But in part C, they give you a background. So if you understand the question, so those part C questions are actually to test your analytical approach, because that is what you are going to use when you will be taking up your research work. Okay, because without conclusion, your research is completely incomplete. Okay, so it is incomplete without conclusion, and to conclude a research, you have to be analytical. Alright, so this part C questions are like that. So they will give you a background. The hints actually are hidden in the questions. Okay, so once you get the hint, it is very easy to solve them and get the answer. So what is needed here is to understand the question. Students, they often find part C questions difficult. First thing is they are big. So it actually plays with our mind, where we think that, okay, it is so big, it is definite, the question looks so big and complicated just by the look. It actually plays with our mind that it is so big and complicated, so we are not able to solve it, will not be able to solve it, it is definitely very tough. Okay, so get over it. Don't approach each and every question in the question paper with a very stable mind, okay, without any bias, right? Read the question properly. Once you read the question properly and once you understand the question, then part C questions are not at all difficult. So definitely for it, what is required is you practice more and more questions. Okay, see, for CSIR exam, what we are targeting to clear the exam, right? So only having the idea or only having the concepts of the topic is not going to help you. At the end of the day, you have to get those 50-51% marks in the CSIR exam to get your JRF. Alright, how we are going to get it? Only by solving questions. Okay, so always sandwich your studies with question solving sessions. Okay, just getting the concept is not going to help you, and just solving the questions is also not going to help you, because in that case you will be focusing more on the answer key and you will try to mug up the answer rather than understanding the concept behind it. So first you go through the topic, understand the concept properly and take up as many questions as you can from that topic. Then you will be applying your knowledge, and that will actually train your mind to think in the direction in which question is asked. Okay, I hope I have cleared my the point with all of you. So this is what is going to exercise your mind to think in that direction. Sukhdeep, I have got a question from Sukhdeep that how much marks should be scored in part C. Well, Sukhdeep, as I had said that in CSIR they do not give any specific weightage for the marks for any section. It's just that you should score. But definitely part C questions, they are having more weightage, so there are +4 marks. Every correct answer is going to fetch you +4 marks. Okay, so definitely they are going to help you. Okay, so Div, you are asking about how much time you should give. Okay, for each question in part C. Well, see that you have to do, I mean, that depends on your speed. Okay, so if you are, I don't think you should give more than 4 minutes for each question in part C. Okay, but then again it depends, because it is not required that you take all the 25 questions from those 75 questions in part C. It is not required. What is required is you take up maximum correct questions. Okay, instead of attempting all 25 and getting all 25 wrong, you will end up with -25 marks. Okay, so what is important is getting most answers correct rather than answering most of the questions. Joel, I have a question from Joel. 50 or so marks is enough for admission? Joel, I'm talking about 50%. So if the question paper is of 200 marks, so you need at least 100 marks to qualify JRF. Okay. The next thing in our list is the approach during test. Often students, they get very panicking between the test and how to approach it. Alright, so keep a cool mind, approach the question, approach the test, approach the question paper with a very cool mind. So in this topic, I would request Dr. Tushar to help out the students in lessening their anxiety in this test, during the test. Dr. Tushar, can I have you please?
Okay, am I audible? Am I audible? Okay, so as we have discussed earlier, as deciding a study plan, that's just very personal. That depends upon student. Similarly, the approach during test, it has to be quite personal. But then again, there are certain do's and don'ts that should never be done, and we would be focusing more on those points. So the first thing is that you should not guess answer for any of the question. If you know it, then only go ahead and put that as ink on the answer sheet. Otherwise, do not guess questions. Because if you guess a question, you actually do not lose 25% mark. For part B or part A question, you actually lose 0.2.5 marks, minus 2.5 marks. Similarly, for part C question, you lose 5 marks. So you should be very judicious while attempting this question, and you should never attempt any question which you are not very sure of. Then do not ever over attempt. Now over attempt, I do not say over attempt in the sense that you should not attempt more than 25 questions from C. That is to be there, that is there. But further, you should know how much you actually know. Whatever you know, you should attempt only those questions. So if you felt like that you have answered enough questions so that you can get a marks of 105, now don't be greedy and go ahead and solve some more questions. That is enough. That is all what you do, and you should not max out your questions. Now, next is when people the students generally ask that what should be the order. Now again, this is very personal, but the thing is that 3 hours is too much. 3 hours is quite enough for CSIR examination. You should be able to be through with the question paper at least once by the end of 2 hours. So in 2 hours, you should have seen all the questions. You should have read all the questions. There would be many questions from the topic which you have not studied. So you can leave that. You can have a cursory look on that question, and then you can move ahead to the next question. So the objective should be that by the end of 2 hours, you should be through with the question paper. Now the next 1 hour, the last 1 hour, should be reserved for solving the questions which you have idea about, but seem little difficult in the first go. So whenever you read a question, you have processed all the information, or if you do not have processed, at least you have gone through all the information. Since you have gone through all these information are there in your subconscious mind. And when you again come back to that question after maybe say half an hour, you would be able to find answers, or at least you would be able to find the approach which you should use in solving that particular question. So that is one thing, that you should always try to read through all of your questions. Now order, whether you should go for part A or then part B or part C, what should be the order of that you should opt for choosing among different sections that you have in your examination. So then again, the first thing is go for the section which you are very confident in. You start with that so that by next 1 hour or by the first hour of the examination, you would be quite confident, you would be quite stable that, okay, you are able to solve some of the questions. Now, since you have done that, then you can move on to the part or to the sections which you find a little difficult. Now, when you start doing that, since your confidence is up, your mind is working right, so you would be able to solve even difficult questions. Now, I always say this to students that don't ever underestimate the power of deep breaths. Always take deep breaths during examination. Whenever you face a question which you feel like is quite tough, take deep breath, read it again, and surprisingly, you would be able to solve it. So do not panic. If the question, even after giving some time, I would say 2 or 3 minutes, and you're not able to figure out the answer, leave the question, move ahead, solve the complete paper, then come back to this question. This actually helps in figuring out the answer for most of the different questions. So that is that if you take this approach during the test, you would be able to do quite good. So I would like Dr. Priti to take over the controls.
Thank you, Dr. Tushar. All the students, I hope that you are going to remember this when you are applying on to June 2015, June 21st, and approaching the test. Okay, I hope all of you remember all these tips given by Dr. Tushar in the examination hall. Okay, so yes, I have a question from Deepa, and she is asking how many questions we should answer in part C. Well, Deepa, as I am saying repeatedly, that there is no weightage on the basis of parts here in CSIR. Okay, so you can the entire motive of the exam should be to approach maximum number of correct questions. Okay, because that is what is going to give you marks. If you approach a question and end up with a wrong answer, it is going to take away your hard earned marks. Okay, so don't do that. Don't guess the answer. If you know the answer, then only go for it. Okay, and maximum you can approach the correct questions, definitely that is going to help you. Okay, whether it is part A, part B, part C, doesn't matter. What matters is those marks that you are getting. Actually, I think many of the students, many of the attendees, they are having this complaint that we are not answering. Actually, all the attendees, I would like to tell you that we have right now 80, so more than 80 attendees, so it's really difficult for us to answer each and every question, but definitely we will try to solve as many questions as we can and answer you all of your queries. That's what I'm doing in between. And anyways, after this also I'll be taking this we'll be taking this question and answer session where we'll be discussing more of your questions. Okay, so the last thing that we have in our list is work hard and be a winner. Definitely there is no shortcut to working hard. Okay, so excuse me, since I have our Dr. Neha with us, ma'am, can you please give a little bit of tips to the attendees on this?
Okay. Thank you, Tithi. Yeah, certainly I would like to talk about this because this is one of the my favorite line I will put over here, that yes, there are two types of work: hard work and smart work, right? And yes, so smart work is something we usually do while preparing for any examination or anything. I mean, at the end, yeah, certainly we do. But yes, hard work always pays, and I always believe in hard work. That doesn't mean that you'll stick to everything and you'll just lose hope and control of your normal day-to-day life or activities. You certainly get indulged in what you are doing, but apart from that, yes, studies is something which is very much required if you are striving for a good life, good career, or you want to make a good choice. Now for that you need to little bit push yourself up. So come out of your comfort zone. Whatever comfort zone you have made, like you cannot study for more than 2 hours, or whatever you are studying, you are forgetting things. So just keep on revising things whenever you are walking. You just talk to yourself. You need to do it as a practice for 7 to 10 days, and then it will be inculcated in you as a habit. A man makes habit, and later on habit makes the man. Right. So you just need to inculcate good habits. Now, under good habit, working hard is a kind of very big term, right? So we need to divide it into some certain small fragments. We'll fragmentize that. Working hard means working in the right direction, on the right manner. That means not getting fatigued, not getting worked up. But still we have to remember one very important statement, that you have to like those things that are necessary, right? You have to like those things that are necessary, and for liking those things, you need to really work with you, right? Apart from that, once you have started working with you, you'll certainly get to see that result in 10 days time, right? In 1 week time itself, you'll be able to study because you'll be a little bit more calmer, you'll be quieter, you'll be very much, you can say, knowledgeably presentable, not look-wise, but yes, knowledgeably presentable. So you will see those kinds of changes in your own behavior. So that is one thing. And then that is a very short thing for the success, right? And then the next thing, once you start doing these things, you have to start believing in yourself that you can do it. Any competitive examination preparation, or in life, I'm talking about the entire life, anywhere, any walk of life, you need to believe in yourself, right? You need to believe that yes, whatever you are doing is right and it's human, right? We are not born like somebody who can work for 24/7 and still not get fatigued and still keep on liking the work. No. You have to believe that yes, I can do it. I have just started right now. So yes, it will take some time, and start believing in yourself. Sometimes back when I was talking to Shekhar sir, our esteemed CEO and co-founder of the company, he always says that you have to start from A, then only you will reach Z. So when you are starting with A, you start believing with yourself, and then when you are reaching Z, I don't think so you will need this particular statement, but yes, you will see the fruits out of it, right? And another thing is, yes, stay confident and true. Be very much truthful to yourself, and that itself will give you a confidence. Now, examination is a mind game. It's entirely a mind game. It's not a kind of a judgment or a kind of assessment of your knowledge. Rather, it is something that how much attentive you were when you were sitting in the examination hall. For those 3 hours, you need to be too much attentive. Now, for being too much attentive, you need to do what? You need to work hard, you need to practice, and I'm sure that throughout your examination preparation, since you have inculcated the kind of habit of working hard, certainly that will give you a kind of confidence when you are walking into the examination hall, and that will certainly lead to what? Very nice word, that is success. That is a kind of state of mind. Success is once again nothing, you cannot measure it quantitatively, rather it is a qualitative approach, and yes, it is a state of mind which comes with untiring effort, creative thinking, courage, energy, and that will provide solution to all your problems, right? So you need to have that correct state of mind, and that will only come with the heading of this particular slide, that is work hard and be a winner. I suppose that I have emphasized more on this point. Now, not taking much of your time and not making you bored, I'll transfer the controls to Tithi. So, Tithi, you can take back the controls.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. It was wonderful. Whatever inputs that you have given, they were absolutely wonderful. Definitely, I feel more confident after hearing your topics, ma'am. Definitely. Okay, so that was all. So we have tried to emphasize and we have tried to summarize all those main key areas where you should be focused, you should plan properly, how to approach those planning portion and how to approach the execution portion of that plans so that you get all the success. Okay, so I hope we have actually tried to summarize the things in those 10 points. So yes, now we are open for all your questions. Yeah. Okay, Vasanti, I have a question from Vasanti that what time I should study? Should it be in the morning or in the night? Well, Vasanti, that definitely depends on you. Okay, so you should pick a time where your mind is fresh and you can approach the things in a better way. Okay, because there is something that works for me may not work for you. Alright, there are some people who study better at night. So, and there are some people who study better in the early morning. So, make your time. Okay, so you choose your time. Take from your past experience during your college studies, whichever time you used to like studying, take that time and prepare. What matters at the end of the day that you study and you prepare. What time you are doing it, how much time you are devoting it, that actually doesn't matter much. Okay, yeah, I have questions from many attendees that we have got, like they are working and they want to clear CSIR. So they are asking how to manage CSIR preparation with work. Okay, definitely for you people, I really appreciate your courage that if you are working 6 hours a day and still you aim to qualify CSIR, that itself is appreciable. But yes, since you have made your aim of clearing CSIR, so you have to devote that much of your time for preparation. CSIR, not an easy job, but definitely it is not something which is not unapproachable. Alright, so definitely you should make yourself, you should take those times out of your daily schedule where you can put in some quality time. Okay, as ma'am said that only hard work will not do, smart working is also required. So put in some quality time in your studies. Not required that you study for 8 hours and at the end of the day you don't remember a single word of it. Study for 2 hours, but remember, retain those 80% of the things that you study in those 2 hours. So that is what is important. So while you are working, while you are commuting in the bus, if you have got time, if you are stuck in the traffic, don't just crib about it, don't just complain about it, take out a book and study, right? Cut some TV time and study. Some, as in the afternoon, if you are habitual of taking a nap in the weekend, forget that weekend, it's only a matter of 6 months, okay? Cut your nap on those weekends, on those lazy afternoon of the weekends and study. Okay, so for that actually you will need to have that more effort from your side. Definitely you will have to put a little bit more effort. I'm talking about those people who are working all 6 days and they are still aiming to clear CSIR. Okay, yes, I have got question from Joel. How is the admission process after obtaining 50% of marks? Okay, once you have, once the result of CSIR is out, Joel, and it it gives your roll number under NetJRF. Then what you will have to do is you'll have to send your mark sheet of your passing degree to CSIR, and with that they will be sending you a certificate. Okay, for lecturership only the certificate will come, and after that you can apply to any any government recognized, any UGC recognized universities for your lecturership. For JRF, you'll have to enroll yourself in a lab and you have to start your fellowship. Okay, so until and unless you start your fellowship, it is a provisional degree for you. So you have to start your fellowship by enrolling to a lab. So for that you will have to apply to those, if you clear CSIR JRF, so you can apply to any of the CSIR institutes. They will be putting up their vacancies for the JRF, for the fellowship. So you can apply there, you will be called for an interview, and after the Viva Voice, if you are selected, you can get enrolled there. For UGC JRFs to attend, the applicants who have cleared UGC JRF, you can take up the JRF in, you can start your fellowship in any UGC recognized laboratories along with the universities. Alright. Well, Jyotish, I have a question from Jyotish. What kind of preparation is needed? Well, in that, Jyotish, you can like maximum thing. I'll always target for maximum. Okay, you cannot put a lower limit to it. If you target for lower limit, definitely you are not going to achieve it. Target for the higher limit. Okay, target for achieving it. Target for getting at least 80% marks, then only will end up getting 50%. Okay, so just go through the last 5 years papers of CSIR, and from that you will get the idea. Start solving them, as I said, that sandwich practicing the questions along with getting the concepts behind the topic. Okay, so study the topic, approach the questions. If you are stuck somewhere, go back and study the topic again. So that will give you the clear-cut idea of how to approach the questions. Okay. No, Pradnya, it is cumulative, 50% overall. There is no specific weightage for any part. Yes, definitely, Jyotish, you should do a syllabus-based study. You should take out the syllabus. The first thing that you are doing is take out the syllabus. Okay, go through the syllabus and focus on the syllabus. Okay, but if you see the CSIR syllabus, it's pretty much like the ocean. Everything that you have studied in last 15 years of your studies will be coming here. Alright. So one more thing that I would like to tell here is about how you can link the things. Okay. For example, let's say that if a lecturer goes in a biology class and asks what is the why plant is green. So what should be the answer? Why plants are green? Yes, yeah, yes, Rakhi, she is saying that because of the presence of chlorophyll. Yeah, I have got many answers from that. It is fine. Now, what if I am a physicist, I am a physics lecturer, and I go to the class and ask the students, okay, that why plant is green, and I am teaching light. So, what will be the answer? That plant is reflecting the green light, and that's why it is green in color, correct? Fine. Now, as you have studied both of these things and you have to correlate it. So, if I tell you why plants are green, so you should say that it is because of the presence of chlorophyll, which is a pigment, and it has the property of reflecting the green light out of those 7 lights coming on it. Okay, that's why it is green. So what we are doing here, basically, we are mixing up the knowledge that we gathered in biology with that we gathered in physics, and that's what is your research. There is no, in science, there is no clear-cut boundary of this is physics, chemistry, maths and biology. Okay, everything, there are correlations and there are those overlapping areas, and let me tell you, maximum of the researches nowadays are going on this overlapping areas. Okay, I've got a question from Abhika, and she's saying, is there a difference in cutoff of CSIR, NET, JRF, LS and CSIR, NET, LS? Well, Abhika, what happens here is there is a different cutoff for JRF and there is a different cutoff for LS. Okay, so let's say if the cutoff is decided at 51%, so whoever qualifies 51% marks and more than 51%, they will all be awarded JRF. Okay, now the top level will be awarded CSIR JRF and the rest below that, then there will be a fixed number of seats for this CSIR JRF. Okay, once that area is full, then the rest of the people who have cleared this cutoff, they will be awarded UGC JRF. Alright, now after that, if the passing percentage, if the cutoff area for lecturership is decided as 46%, so whoever clears or get a mark between 46% and 51% will be awarded LS. Okay, I hope I am clear with this answer. Cutoff, Lakshmi, it is decided randomly on the basis of what is the performance of the applicants in the exam. On the basis of that, it is decided. Since last few years, we have seen that the percentage, the cutoff percentage for JRF has been around 50%. In June, it went up and became 51%. Okay, so maybe I mean every time it keeps on changing on the basis of the people who are attending. Well, Madhuri, I have got a question from Madhuri. What type of lab I can apply? If you have cleared CSIR JRF, you can apply to any of the CSIR labs along with the universities. If you have cleared UGC JRF, then you can apply to universities. You cannot apply to CSIR institutes, but other than that, you can apply anywhere. Yes, Shilpa, if there is, if you have applied for JRF, but because of your age criteria or the marks that you are getting is less than that JRF, then you will be, you will clear LS, okay? Okay, I've got a question from Jyotish that I'm doing MSc Zoology now. How can I manage time for CSIR preparation? Well, Jyotish, if you see your syllabus with your MSc Zoology, definitely that means that you are covering up taxonomy, that is Unit 9. You are covering up Unit 7, that is Animal Physiology. You are covering up a bit of the Plant Physiology, which is Unit 6. And you will also be covering up Unit 2 and Unit 3, which are the fundamental processes, and also Unit 2, which is cell replication, this cell structure, cell organelles and all that. Okay, so along with doing your MSc, you are finishing up all these units, right? So just that if you put a little bit more effort in this specific units, you will be finishing up them, right? So that is not something that is completely different. And after after your studies, whatever time you are having, that is for your weekends, let's say, so take up the questions from CSIR point of view. Okay, you can buy a question bank which comprises of all the CSIR papers, or you can just look for the papers in the internet and you will get the previous year papers and try to solve those papers. That will give you an idea about how to approach the CSIR questions. Okay, I've got a query from Deepa about Biotechnica's classes in the morning batch, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Well, Deepa, right now we do not have any batch running from 7 to 9. We do have batch running from 10 to 1. Okay, and if you are working and if you want to take up our weekend batch, that you are most welcome. Even we run classes in weekend batch from 10 to 5. Yes, I have got a question from Veena. I think many of you might be having this question, that can we apply for PhD after clearing LS? Yes, definitely Veena, you can apply for PhD after LS. Okay, just that what you will need is you need to apply in the universities. Whenever there is this vacancies will come up in the universities, at that time you need to apply. If you have cleared CSIR LS, there will be no requirement for you to clear their written exam. You will be called directly for the Viva, and in the Viva, if you clear your Viva, you can definitely apply for PhD from the college fellowship or without any fellowship. Lakshmi, for a women candidate, there is for women SC, ST, physical, OBC and physically handicapped candidates, there is a relaxation of 5 years. Okay, that is 28 plus 5, that makes 23. Sorry, 33, not 35. So till that age, women candidates can apply for JRF. Yes, I have got this question, that which all reference books we can if I can suggest some. Well, see, for this topics you can refer to any of the standard reference books given. I always suggest that students should take up those reference books if they are approaching a topic which is completely new to them. But definitely if you know the topic and you want a quick brush up, so you can take up the study materials which are provided by Biotechnica, or else you can refer to your own notes also. Debashri, you can take up research in any topic. Okay, it's not required that whatever is the specialization you are doing, in that only you have to continue. You can take up any topic. Yes, Vasanti, full-time PhD is also possible. Okay, that simply depends on which institute you are enrolling to. Yes, Rajat, you can have the Biotechnica study material. It will be comprising of all the topics in very crisp form of notes. Okay, yes, I have got many questions regarding this, that out of 13 units, how many units we should focus on. I'll suggest that you focus on some 10 units, okay, 9 to 10 units, choose 9 to 10 units, but those 9 to 10 units will be such that you should be completely, thoroughly knowledgeable about those units, okay, so that any question comes from them, you should be in a position to answer. Choose those 9 to 10 units and you will be good to go and clear CSIR. Okay, now I have got many questions about what are the important topics, okay. See, yeah, that is I think the most common type of query that we get here from the students, what are the important topics, okay. So I'll say that I'll go unit wise. So in unit 1, you can see that this metabolism portion is important. This biophysical portion, pH, buffer, all those things are quite important. Enzyme is important. The numericals based on these things are quite important. Now from unit 2, cell cycle is definitely one of the important topic, and membranes, cytoskeleton, cell cycle, these are important in unit 2. Then you have unit 3. In unit 3, this signaling, in unit 3 you have replication, transcription, translation, okay, and gene interactions, right? So that is quite important in that. Then in unit 4 you have cell signaling. Cell signaling is important. Definitely immunology is one of the hotspots of questions. Then unit 5, developmental biology. Yes, organogenesis and gametogenesis is quite important. Unit 5, many questions are asked from unit 5, developmental biology. Then in your unit 6 and 7, out of unit 6 and 7, for those people who are from applied science background, applied biology, you can choose only one and let go of the other. Okay. Then we have unit 6 and 7 is done. Then there's unit 8, genetics. Yes, one of the important units if you consider from question point of view. In unit 8, genetics, Mendelian genetics, gene mapping is quite important because many times questions are asked from there, and nowadays many questions are asked from mutation also, mutation, microbial genetics and gene mapping, which are quite important. Then in unit 9 it is taxonomy. So in case of taxonomy, yes, it is important, but taxonomy is so vast that we cannot categorize the area which is important in that. Then unit 10, definitely ecology, one of the most important units from CSIR point of view. Then in unit 11, that is evolution. Nowadays many questions are asked from evolution. In evolution only there is a part of population genetics which is quite important. At least 1 or 2 questions from part C are coming from this section of Hardy-Weinberg law and what the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium of population genetics. So yes, it is important here. Then unit 12, well, unit 12 is one area which is not that important from CSIR point of view. If there are students, you can, I think you can leave unit 12 because not many questions come from there. In unit 13, the RDT portion is very important. Okay, so I hope I have cleared many of your queries telling the important points here. I think Naveen, actually CSIR do not release any data saying that what is the number of seats or what are the number of students will be allowed JRF. It's just depending on the percentage, how many people are getting above the cutoff, and on the basis of that I think it is decided. CSIR do not release any data regarding that. Okay, we are approaching the time where I have to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you so much for all your further queries. You can send your query to csir@biotecnika.org. I'll be typing it here. Okay, so I have sent you the mail address where you can send in your further queries regarding to CSIR or any service that you would like from us, or any help that we could provide you all. And I wish all of you all the very best for your exam, for your June exam. I hope most of you qualify it, and this I hope all the best to you. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you so much. Thank you for making this effort of Biotecnika a huge success. Thank you so much.